Hi, I'm Ron Varnell, and this is September Song. As I get older, I don't seem to have as many epiphanies as I used to have. I don't have as much money as I used to have either. I'll get into that in a later episode. So what do I mean when I talk about an epiphany? Well, I'm not talking about an advertising agency, a website, a school, a cake recipe, a musical composition, or a song by Taylor Swift. Epiphany comes from a Greek word for manifestation or appearance. For many Christians, Epiphany refers to the divine nature of Jesus, and it's marked by a feast day on January 6th. But the word epiphany has another popular meaning, a sudden flash of understanding or insight, and that's what I want to talk about right now. Remember how I told you about my notion that everything is just a figment of my imagination? Well, that wasn't really an epiphany. It was just a bizarre idea born of reading too much science fiction. It wasn't a sudden flash of understanding, and it certainly didn't have anything to do with Jesus. Here's one of my epiphanies. Back in the 60s, I had this great idea for a disposable camera made from cheap plastic or cardboard with a small plastic lens. Here's the original blueprint. Now, after you shot all the film, you'd simply send the camera off to have the film developed and receive your prints. Of course, back in the 60s, it would take days and days to get your photos back, just like in that Disney song, "Someday My Prince Will Come."
Someday my prince will come.
But if I could invent a disposable camera, I could be rich. I'd make millions. That, of course, never really happened. I never really thought of looking for a patent or getting rich. Which takes me to another epiphany I had. I was doing a video interview with the chairman of a multi-billion-dollar company. Now, this man had changed an entire industry with an epiphany. This is an exact quote from that interview. He said, "I've known many people with ideas who said they were going to do this and then they were going to do that, and they never did anything." Well, I immediately thought of my disposable camera, which led to another epiphany. If you have a great idea, act on it, if you can. Of course, I can't do that now because somebody already developed a disposable camera and made millions. But epiphanies are great things. As I worked on this episode, I began to think about the greatest ideas of all time. The first maybe was the discovery of fire. And actually, that wasn't an epiphany. It was ancient cave people didn't discover fire. Fire actually discovered people when an ancient forest fire burned up Ugg's supply of wooden clubs. Man's real fire epiphany came when he realized that the mastodon rib he had been gnawing on tasted better if he stuck it in the fire. Later that same day, his neighbor had an epiphany about barbecue sauce, which came just in time for the January 6th feast. The next great historical epiphany came in 1440 when a German goldsmith, Johannes Gutenberg, was struck with an idea about movable type and a printing press. The press enabled information to be available to the masses, at least those who could read. And there was the internet. Well, this supplied information instantly to all people, and it didn't require reading or even thinking. Those were great, but my all-time choice for the greatest epiphany of all time is the thermos. Well, you put something hot in it and it stays hot. You put something in cold and it stays cold. It is the great mystery. How does it know?